Hey guys, welcome to the next Critique the Community. Today we are critiquing action photos, but if you would like to be part of the next critique, you can upload your quirky images right now. We'll debate that in just one second. Something that I always mean to say, but have always forgotten to say, you can always go to fstoppers.com/contests and you can see whatever current contest or critique we have going on at the moment. I don't know why I always forget to say that. I always say click on the link in the description. We have a direct link. I am now trying to just put fstoppers.com/contest and all of the YouTube links. So if you're watching this 3 months from now, obviously the contest that I'm talking about will no longer exist, but there should be a new one going on anytime you go to fstoppers.com/contest. So quirky images. That's what people can upload. What is your definition of that?
I was thinking quirky portraits.
Okay.
Because I don't want a bunch of silly images that should never go in your portfolio and we're like critiquing weird stuff.
Yeah.
But you thought maybe a portrait was too
narrow,
specific.
Yeah, I have seen incredible quirky images, especially with high-end commercial photographers. They're coming up with these conceptual images. Maybe they're doing a lot of work in terms of planning, set building, getting wardrobe and stuff. It may not necessarily be a portrait.
Right.
John Keatley comes to mind. He's a photographer that we know of. I mean, he's taking pictures of like spacemen and stuff.
I always see a lot of them in like the New York subways. Like there was a big campaign where they had a campaign for like Vicks and everybody was sick and it was like pictures of people going through different stages of illness. And I thought that's really quirky and clever. So something along those lines, but it doesn't have to just be one person, one headshot, one portrait.
But it certainly can be. So upload those pictures right now. Are you ready? This looks very familiar.
Yeah, this is
very, very familiar. So.
Oh, are you saying because I tried to take a picture like this?
Yeah, I mean, dude,
this is way better than the picture that I took.
It's so funny. I don't really remember your image very much, but years ago.
It was that memorable.
We're probably eight years ago. We got maybe some like early access to some Pocket Wizard that was coming out, and we did this flash popping shot of a basketball player dunking. I mean, it was so similar to this.
Well, it's a common pose. Like this is almost it's not the Jordan pose, but it's close. So like this is the shot.
Kind of, but did you do something with the lighting like this too? Did you have blue and red on one side?
Mine was mainly blue.
Okay.
This is, I would give my image, looking back at it, like a 2.5.
Okay, well I have a...
This is, well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to rate this yet, but this is definitely better.
So here's a funny quick story. Your picture, you took a few different shots, and some of them I thought looked great, and then one of them in particular I thought looked absurd. And it was kind of like the basketball player was in this pose, but I think you put him like too high in my opinion. It didn't look realistic, and there was like too many flash pops or something. I just remember thinking, man, I really dislike this one image, and you probably shouldn't put it in the video, and you did put it in the video. And then Pocket Wizard came to us and they said, hey, we want to pay you to license one of these images for the front of our website and for our advertising and stuff.
And they picked the one you didn't like?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you sure? Because that's definitely the worst shot from the whole shoot.
This was eight years ago or so. I'm trying to remember if I moved him at all. Like it was Chelsea. I don't know that I ever cut him out.
Oh, you had to.
And moved him.
No, you had to have.
I don't think I did. I think it was very similar to this.
No. You definitely cut him out.
I honestly don't remember. Maybe I did on one, but then the one that I used, he wasn't, but I'd have to.
Yeah, I think for some of these, I think, as the shoot went on, he got more and more tired.
Like he was above the rim.
Yes, this one shot, it looked so bad. So as we argue all that, we'll put video over the top of it so you guys can see that old shoot. We'll even put a link in the description so you can go back and
see some old classic Fstoppers.
Yeah, classic Fstoppers. Let's rate this.
All right.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree? This is super cool. I feel like the red versus the blue is really bringing this together. Is the blue a little heavy-handed for you?
Not particularly. I mean, I can see why you might say it is, but this feels like an advertising shot, or this feels like a Sports Illustrated portrait or something where you might go for that style. I'm wondering if it's too wide, but I think having that window on the left and the warmth on the left makes it balanced. It's just he's a little small in the frame, but again, it gives you a lot of options for cropping and that sort of thing. I'm wondering how they lit this, because I assume these windows go all the way around the gym. And is that natural light coming through? Or is it, maybe they fogged up the auditorium, to make it more prevalent?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there like some strobe that's like, 20 feet in the air to give this effect?
Yeah, I'd be
Or could it be
interested-
faked? Like, could you go in with the intention of doing this? You shot with the blue gel, but then in post, you just, brought out or faked.
I think potentially it could be a strobe on a really tall light stand that, it appears like it's coming through a window, but it's not through a window at all. Especially when you look at the other windows that are in this gym, how low they are. I wouldn't expect there to be a higher window on that other side.
No, but that window is about 15 feet high.
What are you saying?
That's just pretty high to put a light. I mean, it can be done, but I'm just saying, like...
Well, I'm just saying, look at the design of the building. All those windows are even. Are you saying that on the other side of this building, there's a much taller and larger window that the sun is coming directly through? I don't think so.
I'm saying it's the same window. The basketball hoop is 10 feet, and then the windows on the other side are another 5 feet above that. So there's light coming in from that same window, 15 feet up, shining down on him.
But the windows are here.
Yeah.
Why would this other one be up here? Something about the perspective isn't making sense.
Are you out of your mind? It's just the wall comes this way, and there would be a window here, a window here, a window here, a window here, and they're going up.
I don't know. That perspective does not make sense.
The window is right above the basketball goal, but like right here. So it'd be like this line is coming up, right? I don't know. This. Are you okay today?
Well, let's move on. Community gives this one 3.62. It's the highest rated image in this critique. You're going to win a free tutorial from fstoppers.com/store. Send me a direct message on fstoppers.com. Tell me your email and tell me which tutorial you want, and I personally will send you a free tutorial. Choose a number 2 through 21.
7.
When we get to number 7, you will win a free tutorial as well. Moving on.
Now, I've been seeing a lot of messages about Lee hasn't sent me my tutorial, so are you sure?
Okay, first of all...
I don't know that this needs to make the video, but this is a conversation between you and I.
Well, first of all, guys, relax. Like, I'm busy. I'm not... You can't send me a direct message and expect it to be done in like an hour. So some of you are getting a little antsy, and you're like, sending me private emails, sending me direct messages, sending Fstoppers message.
Sending me a message on Facebook?
Yeah, when you send like Fstoppers a message, we don't read it. Somebody we employ reads it, and then she ships it out to like me, you, and David, and then David's calling me and he's like, Lee, do I need to do this? Why haven't you done it? Patrick's getting direct message on Facebook and Instagram. It's like, chill. Just send me a direct message on Fstoppers. Give me a couple days. You're going to get your tutorial. All right. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
This pains me.
Whoa!
This pains me.
2 stars. I'm going 4.
Are we looking at the same image here? Okay, we are. You're going 4 on this.
Yeah.
Please tell me why this is so good to you.
All right. I feel like the shape of the wave and the lighting in this image and the expression on the surfer's face all looks really good. I'm not saying that this is some like mind-blowing image, but it just looks like a solid image for what it is. My biggest critique of this image is I hate the fact that the surfer's in the full...
Wash of the wave?
No. The full... wetsuit with the hat and everything. I think this is a female. Sorry if this is a dude.
Is that why you want less clothes on them?
Well, listen, they're covered up with the water. I just think, we've got like the Pat situation going on. I can't even tell the gender of the person because they're so covered up.
Should it matter, Lee?
I'm just saying that I feel like if you if you were to take a portrait of anyone and you were to cover up their entire body into some black suit, it takes something
It's like
away.
when Tom Brady has all the protectiveness over him. You can't tell if it's Lee Morris or Tom Brady, and you're like, who is this athlete?
I think that's a great example, actually. If I was taking a portrait of Tom Brady, I probably wouldn't want to take a portrait of him through his mask, his face mask.
No.
I'd probably want his helmet off. And so that's my biggest critique of this. But in terms of giving this 2 stars, I mean, I guess your point is, why does this need to be in your portfolio? If you're a surf photographer, is this really that high end of a picture?
Here's what I say. This is like a 4 stars, if we could do that, on approach. Like, you have the underwater housing and you're in the water with them. Like, you probably do this for a living, or it's a serious hobby of yours. You've invested to do that. And in many cases, that's the hardest part of the equation, is getting the gear, going out there, and doing it, right? Like, that's the barrier that most people never take the step to do. So kudos for that. I just feel like, unlike you, I feel like this expression is super goofy. I feel like this person's like looking straight at the camera, giving a weird smile. I agree with the clothing. I don't like all of the wash. I can't tell if they're like on a knee board or a surfboard or a boogie board. Like, I have no idea really what they're doing here. My intuition's telling me they're surfing, but I want to see more of the body. I want to see more of the board. I want them to be looking tough and to be giving a cool expression. The framing and everything and the aesthetic of looking through the wave is amazing. I love that. I just feel like if you sat out there all day doing this, surely, I mean, I can't say surely because timing this is difficult. I'm not trying to underestimate that or take away from that. I'm just saying if you did a full session of this for like a week, you would wind up with 10 better pictures than this with the same effect. Like, you're going for the effect of shooting down the wave, and you're probably able to reproduce that over and over because you're catching the wave near the rider. I just feel like this looks a little goofy to me. I can't tell what the sport is. I can't see their body language. Compositionally and on first instinct, I'm like, that's cool, but I don't know. I'm just being kind of picky. I feel like you could do better. You can get somebody who's looking out in front of them or looking up past the camera. This just feels like you were on a cruise ship and you went surfing, and the photographer for the cruise ship is there taking all the pictures of every person.
I don't know that that's a fair critique. But the community is right in between us, 3.01. 3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. This has a somewhat natural tone. Yes, this is strobed. You can look at that back rope and definitely tell that it's strobed on his far side to create that highlight. But it's not so strobed that it feels super lit. It's got kind of that natural feel that I see in a lot of current advertising. I feel like this model is in great shape, and it's once again, it's not blowing my mind, but I feel like this is a very current feeling image.
I agree. I love the toning of this. I don't mind that the sky's blown out. I think that really works because of his wardrobe. He's in the black and white, workout clothes, and everything's toned down. Like, if he was in like some kind of neon green shirt and stuff, I think maybe it'd be too much. I love the vibe of this. When you say you're not blown away, I mean, how many of these exercises, you do these pretty regularly, right?
Every day.
You just stand up and then you Superman it out and then come, like, how do you land this?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's pretty amazing looking. And I love the rope coming in and like the way it's all laid out.
Well, when I say I'm not completely blown away,
I'm kind of joking.
I don't, I'm sure this guy is in peak physical condition. I'm just kind of talking about the location overall, what's in the background. It doesn't seem like an ultra planned out photograph, but at the same time, that's kind of the style with a lot of today's advertising.
Yeah, I was just looking at Blair Bunting's portfolio again because he was on the new Aaron Hernandez documentary.
Yeah, I saw
They
it.
used an image of his that apparently they didn't license, which is a whole other interesting.
They just took that
They
picture.
just took it off his website. So I'm thinking like, cha-ching, he's probably going to make a good buck off that. But anyway, check out Blair Bunting's website. He has some images like this, not of this sport or this training, But he puts things, and a lot of it might be composited because we know kind of his workflow. But he will put this athlete in like a concrete corner. It looks like the most beautiful little concrete corner in Las Vegas or something. But it just makes a shoot like this feel like a 5.
Yeah.
Where, oh, wow, he's like in this training facility that only the UFC would have access to. It just looks so beautiful. And then you put this whole motion in that. And it could even be a beach, you know, but it's just at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I feel like if this image had something else to make that, like the background, you're right. You look at it and you're just like, is this Venice Beach? I mean, it's got like a hill, but I don't know. It just doesn't look very high end back there.
Community 3.53.
Cool photo, though. Oh boy, the driving car shots.
Mm-hmm.
Think I'm ready, and everyone knows that I'm the authority on car photography.
Yeah. What do you think of this make and model of car?
This is a Beamer.
What?
Oh, this is the Mercedes.
Oh, okay. What type of Beamer Mercedes is it?
It's obviously green. And goes quickly.
I don't know either. All right, let's read. 3, 2, 1.
You going 2?
I'm in between a 2 and a 3 on this.
I like this image. I think this belongs in your portfolio kind of early on, but probably could be replaced as you get better.
Absolutely.
A few things that I mean, you know, I don't know anything about cars, but the first few things that stand out to me is the flare seems kind of ugly and overdone. Like, it's not a beautiful flare. It's got these weird bokeh things on the right that I don't really like. Maybe the motion blur is faked and it looks a little crazy the way that the direction's going. I love the location, but it makes me think that this photographer wasn't really in that location. So this is probably an entire composite. Mm-hmm. I'm just guessing. There's a chance that somebody lives, I mean, this almost looks like Malaysia or something. But I love how exotic it looks. I just feel like, I don't know that for Mercedes, does it show off the car enough? It's so straightforward.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the angle of this car. There's also
a lot of road.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I've been wrong before. Very rare. But once or twice I've been wrong. But if you look at the shadow being cast by this car, that looks super sharp and fake, right? Like, that can't possibly be a real shadow.
Well, with the amount of, well, I don't know what the shadow would do. Would the shadow be blurred?
No, but the sun isn't that small. So and it seems like the sun's a little behind some clouds or something. So I don't know. I mean, that looks like freaking polygonal lasso tool sharp to me. So I don't know. And then just the lighting on the car.
What is the word you use? Polygonal?
Polygonal, isn't that the way you're supposed to pronounce it?
Maybe.
Polygonal. Either way, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this shot, even though this is one of the highest, this might be the 3rd highest rated shot in this entire critique. Now, I have taken a few pictures of cars.
Yes, you have.
The first one that I took of my father's car, for the most part, everybody loves that shot. I then took a picture of a toy car at night.
Yeah.
And although it has a lot of high ratings on YouTube, some of the top comments were like, this is the most horrific tutorial on the internet. This image is the worst image you have ever taken. I don't even think it's that bad of an image. And I have another video that I have filmed. I'm waiting for approval to release this, where I have taken a picture of the new Tesla Roadster die-cast toy.
Okay.
So, all this being said, I'm kind of critiquing this image harshly when my next car photo that's about to come out could be the worst photo a human has ever taken.
I've been present for all 3 of these photo shoots, and I have to say the new one coming out is better, at least better than the night one.
Okay. Do you think the night one is that bad?
Yeah, I remember when you and David were working on it, and I looked at it, and I was like...
Come on, dude, it's not that bad.
I was like, you're shooting it at night, and it has like a white seamless reflection on the bottom of the car.
Well, you mean the top of the car, like I was lighting it from above?
That too, like there was...
Well, that's any car you take a picture of at night, you'd put a softbox over the top of it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to try to justify why it's bad. I recently read a comment online, and it was like, I lost all respect for Lee Morris when I saw his toy car at night.
It's not that bad. I admit it's not the best image, but I've certainly taken far worse images than that.
All right. This image I gave a 3. You gave it a 2.
Community 3.43. This is one of the highest rated images.
Would you Photoshop out all of these leaves on the top and maybe even get rid of those tree trunks and just let this all be about those mountains in the background and like simplify this?
This tree that's just right to the camera left of the car going up. I agree.
There's 2 trunks. There's a skinny one and a long one. And like I'm just zooming in and maybe getting rid of some of that road. And if you cleaned up that tree.
That's true. There's too much road in the front as well. And the motion blur doesn't look real, and so because of that, you're right. My eye goes to the road more than the car, but if you zoom in just a little bit, I think that's much better.
Yeah, just do something like that. That looks pretty good, right?
All right, next up. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars, we agree.
I'm going to use Mike Kelly's famous phrase.
Okay.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
The doctors were so... What's the line? What's the Jurassic Park? You were so worried about whether or not you could. You didn't stop to think if you should.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on here.
So, obviously there's just a lot of Photoshop compositing going on, but it's not done in the most realistic way. Especially this drink that's going off to the side. That doesn't look real at all to me when you consider gravity. But I don't know that any of this is my biggest issue. I think my biggest issue with this is the weird HDR...
Ice cubes?
And everything. It's just like pulling the shadows and the highlights to 100%. It just kind of feels so fakey and cartoony to me. I do not like it. Yeah,
and I know you always rag me on what is the story, but like, what is the purpose of an image like this? This looks like, let me show off what I can do in Photoshop and with lighting.
I will agree with that.
I don't think this is like an image for the cups. I don't know of a liquor company that would use an image like this. It's almost too over the top.
Yeah.
And it just screams to me, it's like, here's a photographer who's learned how to do splash photography, and they've just taken it over the top, but you're kind of left saying like, whoa, where's the reserve? Where's the concept? Where is, the sleight of hand? Like, it's too heavy-handed in everything.
Yes.
That it just starts to feel more like an exercise that you would do.
Like a project in college or something.
Yeah, but if you did this in college, I mean...
You'd be top of your class for sure.
I don't think most photography students are doing stuff like this, but I have no doubt this photographer is capable of making a great product shot with splash photography. I just feel like this is a little over the top. I do love the one in the middle, though. Like, that one looks the best to me. It's got the amber color, it's... Everything else, like, the color looks wrong, too. Like, if this is bourbon or whiskey, everything just looks too yellow. Like this one that I keep thinking that's like a tongue coming out. It's like, the color seems a little strange.
All right, community gives it 3.33. We are also moving at an incredibly slow pace today. All right, are you ready, Patrick?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. 4. Really? 2 stars. Now, I think you're about to feel really dumb because maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn this was one of the finalists for the Red Bull Illume contest.
Maybe, but I would question their integrity with that. Like, what is happening in this photo? What sport is going on? Where... Unless there's like a backstory. If this is like Elon Musk landing on top of some crazy mountain and revealing some product or something.
What are you talking about? It's just like hella skiing.
I know, but like I don't know that. Like there's nothing about this that says that there's ski. I guess
snow, helicopter, people in ski clothes.
I would rather see the guy like already on the ground and the helicopter's taking off or something. Like, I love the toning of this. I love the concept of like there's a helicopter right in front of these people. Like there's some cool stuff going on. But without context, and maybe with Red Bull Illume, you just need to see a bunch of other pictures. You know, they make these different categories. There's one that's like behind the scenes, or there's one, you know, in that.
Sounds like you're backtracking as hard as you can right now.
No, maybe this belongs in a portfolio. If there's like a section on your portfolio that is like behind the scenes, or
I don't know. I would say if you were a extreme sports photographer, this totally fits in with a portfolio. I think this image is really cool.
I just don't see any person doing an athletic move, and that's pretty common with all of the Red Bull Illume pictures, except the ones that are like the behind the scenes. It's like Kelly Slater like walking through a crowd of people giving high fives. This falls into that category, but that's like one of my least favorite categories of that whole thing.
I could be wrong. This may not be Red Bull. I've just seen this somewhere. I don't remember where. Community gives it 3.18. We are up to number 7. Congratulations, you have won another free tutorial. Direct message me on Fstoppers and nowhere else. And nobody else. Direct message me, your email, what tutorial you want.
What sport is this?
I mean, I think it's professional wrestling, but this image was, out of everything that I chose today, this is probably the most fascinating image because it seems too planned. Like, first of all, how could there be a photographer in the ring during a match? That doesn't make any sense.
Where's he? Some of the videographer. Oh, he's shooting from.
You
don't think he's shooting through the ropes?
It looks like he's in the ring with the composition and everything. So then,
I'd have to believe he's shooting through the ropes, but okay.
But it appears very wide angle, doesn't it? It doesn't look like he's zoomed into 50 millimeters or something. Either way, if this is real and he's outside of the ring and he, you know, like this videographer is on the left, how in the heck did he capture this moment? I mean, this is crazy. Professional wrestling is not real. So,
well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what sport are they wearing boots and kicking people in the face? Because we should be watching that sport. This is like, the UFC is very real and it's very gory, and to get a shot like this in the UFC happens, but it's still an awesome moment.
It's very difficult to capture an image like this in the UFC.
Right. But to have that with wrestling where they're not really hitting each other, I mean, I guess you could be throwing your head back and all of the sweat's coming off. But the timing of that, I mean, this shot looks like it's real.
That's what was so fascinating about this image to me. It feels like, with the kick and the spray and the head movement, it feels like, okay, this is fake and it's planned. You know, this is done for a photo shoot. The placement of the photographer and the camera, okay, this is a planned out photo shoot. But then you look at the background.
No one's reacting to like such a crazy kick to the head.
But where do they get all these people from? If this is a planned out photo shoot,
it's got to be real.
I don't know. I'm very fascinated by this image. I mean,
there's a photo that's going really viral right now of like the screen capture of the Kansas brawl. I don't know if you saw this. There's a big fight at one of the NCAA basketball games. And in this one picture, you see the player pulling up like this chair and he's about to like slam it on somebody. And then you see this girl on his leg like screaming to like get away from the action. And then you zoom to the crowd and everyone's got this face of horror. And then you see an image like this and you're like, these people look so bored to be at this event.
Well, they're at some low-end wrestling match.
I know, but I've never seen anyone kicked in the face like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions, but we still have to
You deserve a tutorial. Let us know how in the heck you captured this. Is this just luck and you just happen to get this? Did you add the fake spit and spray off the head? Let us know. I'm curious. Next up.
Well, we never rated it.
Oh, damn.
So we still have to rate the pictures.
I thought we rated it and I said 3, 2, 1.
You go 4?
I'm going, I mean, I don't know. Because of what it is, I'm going 4. I don't like the fact that he cropped out their ankles and stuff. I feel like that's a little weird. But just because of what's going on in this image, and it's so perplexing to me, I went 4. Community, though, rates it 3.12. Maybe that's more reasonable. I don't know. Next up.
Oh. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. My only issue with this image is there seems to be weird shadow recovery thing going on the right rear tire that makes this feel kind of fake or over-processed to me. But when I look at the rest of the image, it doesn't look over-processed. So I don't know what's going on.
So if you look at the left wheel, it's very black.
Yeah.
But on the right side, could they have used a strobe? Because it looks like, okay, we debated in a photo with a tornado last week where the sun position was.
Yeah.
Where is the sun position in this photograph?
I am going to say the sun position.
Is it in this frame or is it just outside of this frame?
Oh, I would say it's outside of the frame to the right.
Okay. Like the brightest part of this image is kind of by that wheel. It's almost like that's the brightest part of this photo.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, is there a light below to the right, like a speed light or something, that's lighting up his pants and everything? Or is the sun coming through these trees and giving a highlight to the rider naturally? Because maybe that would explain why the right wheel has more definition than the dark wheel on the left.
All right, take a look at this too. If you look on the right side of the image, look, if you zoom in to the leaves, there's lots of like orange, and then it goes to dark
Green,
black
yeah,
or
black,
gray
yeah.
leaves. What the heck is going on?
It's like something you would see with a sky replacement, but they didn't replace the sky.
Yeah.
It's strange.
I don't know.
There's definitely some weird stuff going on with the post-production. I love the position of the camera. It actually has me thinking, like, is there something I could do here for a video where I'm shooting below? But I almost feel like the trees are adding so that you know the terrain he's going through, but it's almost making it hard to read this image. If you just flash this image up really quickly, it's like, what are you looking at? But I like the concept of this. I just don't know if the post-production and all the trees is really working perfectly here.
Community 3.08.
There's a lot of haloing around his shoe and the bike too, though.
I know, there's weird stuff going on. Moving on. Are you ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars.
I know I just talked about Blair Bunting, but Blair Bunting has a whole train series.
Oh, really?
On his website or on Twitter, I forget where, but like he has these shots and you want to see some crazy train photos. I mean, they all look like they're from drones, and I think some of them he even said he took on his iPhone, but they're super processed. You want to see some cool train photos, check out Blair's website. This is like an advertisement for Blair Bunting.
Well, I have seen some horrific train photography.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like, there's some nerds out there that love trains.
They shoot with that Olympus. It's got that train tracking, train tracking
focus mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's really interesting to me. You know, they obviously blurred the subject, which usually you wouldn't want to do. But we've got some really cool looking colors with this train as well. Beautiful colors in the sky, interesting location. So this one really stood out to me. I like this.
Yeah, I love the right hand of the side of the frame. Like the way that the lights are streaking through and showing the background. It looks very graphic art. Mm-hmm. Even though it may just be a simple long exposure, but just the timing of that is really, really cool.
Community 3.09.
This reminds me of that crazy comet that just flew through Puerto Rico skies.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so tell that story.
So we're out playing tennis, and it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, still super bright. And as I'm about to serve, I look up, and I just see this fireball coming out of the sky. And I'm thinking, that can't be a firework because it's coming down, and it's not like fizzling out. But it was the biggest comet ever. And I really thought it was a missile or it was a plane falling out of the sky. I've never seen anything so bright in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And it was going at such a rate that once it got to the tree line, I was like, we're about to hear a huge explosion. Mm-hmm. And nothing happened. And then we played, and the whole time I'm looking for another one. Is it fireworks? Is it going to happen again? I get on Twitter, and everyone's like, there is a massive meteor that people saw from the west side of the island.
Yeah, like 3 hours away from us. We thought, when we looked at it, we were expecting an explosion to happen. We thought maybe this is an airplane
I
going
thought you
down.
were going to question if I really am seeing things.
No, I saw something.
You saw it for a split
I saw
second?
it right before it went over the horizon. It was so bright. We eventually just decided it had to be a firework in our neighborhood. So it was just like one road over, somebody shot a firework and it went down.
Yeah.
That's what it had to have been. This was like hundreds of miles away from us. That's how big this was.
It was massive. I've never seen anything in the sky so big.
It's crazy. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Really, 2? I'm in between a 3 and a 4 on this.
Really? I mean, it's cool.
Apparently not.
It's cool. I just don't know if it's portfolio worthy. Like, this is the sort of image that I see in a lot of people's portfolios that just do photography as a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we always approach these critiques as like, you're making money from photography. Is this the type of image that's going to get printed in National Geographic? Maybe it's the type of image. I don't know. The moon's not doing anything interesting enough. It's not like it's an eclipse or something. But maybe the AP would pick this up and use it for like an image in an article or something. But I just feel like, you know when an eclipse happens and you see like everyone and their brother post their pictures and there's only ever a handful of images that come out that you're like, whoa, that one's incredible.
Yeah.
This just feels like
This
one.
feels way better to me than the average eclipse photo. I like the composition.
Maybe I don't hold eclipse photography. It's like a rare event, but I don't hold that up on some pedestal either. I just feel like, it's a picture of the moon, and this guy captured this plane going through it, and it's kind of unique. But what do you think this is? The sun is still hitting that high in the atmosphere?
Correct.
And so even though it's nighttime, it's like when you have those clouds that just still have some color.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I find it very interesting. Love the composition. Community gives it 2.89. So, not as big of a fan as me. Just realized this dude is not strapped into this board. At least he doesn't appear to be strapped in. I don't know how he's jumping without being strapped in, but okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
I'm between a 2 and a 3.
My biggest critique is probably that the exposure on the sand is a little hot. Just a little hot. And maybe on his arm. But I don't know. There's something about this. The tones, the jump, the sand, that is, it's very interesting to me. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. It's the overall mood of this image.
I mean, I do like the tones of it, like you said, maybe the colors and his shirt. I can't figure out if I like his shirt or if it casually fits into the right color palette and it is a nice, choice there. It's probably not even a choice. What this probably is it's like what we did in Dubai, or you can do it like in Brazil. Like I did this in Florianopolis, where you go up to a dune and they just hand you a snowboard and then you just ski down and there's no reason to strap in because it's literally like 100 feet that you just go down. It's not like you're shredding through the desert.
Yeah.
So it's probably just kind of like a snapshot. I mean, it's high noon. It's not like it's the best time of lighting, but in this environment, I don't think the lighting is... Like his arm and stuff's blown out, but this is one of those shots where do you think it would benefit by bringing the ambient down like a stop and then also putting a strobe in there, making it feel more like an action photo?
You know what also isn't making any sense is the lighting direction. I think this might be strobed.
I think it's got like a light here just by the camera coming in?
No, I think it's strobed hard from the left. Because look at the shadow. The shadow's like being cast down and forward. But he's got light on his arm and on his face.
Well, the shadow is definitely from the sun.
Right.
But then you're just saying, like, why is the right side of his face lit?
Why is the camera left side of his face bright at all if the sun is above him?
That's the same side we're talking about.
All right. Community gives it 2.89. Next up. This is kind of a similar composition to the wrestling kick in the face shot. We've got the corner of the ring. We've got the official, in the background, right in between them.
We got the photographer inside the ring.
I don't think so. This looks zoomed in to me.
Yeah, but imagine if they were closer to this side and you just zoomed out 20 millimeters. You'd have the other shot.
I don't know. All right. You ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. I just feel like it's kind of
The pinnacle
a
moment.
pinnacle moment, but it doesn't feel like a very strong strike. Certainly a strike I wouldn't want to have on my face, but it almost feels like the guy is like arching back rather than being hit back. The lighting, it's not great. And then we've got weird color in this image.
Yep.
Where we've got like strange magenta and green tint at the same time. It doesn't feel professionally lit. I understand as the photographer you don't get to light it, but it just doesn't feel like a very high-end boxing match in that sense. But I feel like you could fix that very easily by making this black and white.
I always wonder what the ethics of, some of this sports photography. You can do anything in post-production now with dodging and burning, where you're not manipulating. Like, dodging and burning in many cases is allowed in certain, styles of photography, like photojournalism and stuff. Could you dodge the face and, make the colors look a little more natural just by playing with some of the sliders?
Maybe. Also, composition's weird too. Too much headspace. I'd say zoom in a little bit. All right, community gives it 2.49. Moving on. Are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars, we agree. My biggest critique with this image is, I know I say a lot of times, it's kind of a low-res image, it's hard to see. This one is low-res, coming in. You can zoom into this and just see there's some weird effect on this.
It looks like they've taken the clarity slider and pushed it to the left.
Yes, that is
where
what it looks like.
It pulls out all the detail and you're left with this, artsy watercolor.
Muddy watercolor look, yeah. And so I do not like that. I love the fact that this guy's on pure white, though. It's like you're shooting into the sky. Makes it this very graphic art image. I think my only main critique is just what the heck happened to the file itself? Yeah. I don't know if this was taken on a cell phone or something, but it's just not very high res. Community gives it 2.44. Next up.
This looks like something I would do.
Yeah, I put this in here just for you.
What is it that Tam always says?
Dad Asto?
Dad Asto. I'm ready.
How do you keep the junk out of an image like this? Is he
He's super
pulling?
cold.
Is he pulling it up?
He's super cold. He doesn't have the same problem you and I have, but yeah, or you take gaffer's tape and you right on the side, Or he's, can I say it? Just super aroused and doesn't have to worry about.
There's a lot of questions. Still testicles that would be there. I feel bad zooming into this image. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
You give this a 3?
I don't know.
It just feels so much like a joke that if you put this in your portfolio, you get a reaction, and maybe if your portfolio was somehow a lot of images like this, I could see somebody just scrolling for days and being like, "This is hilarious. This is hilarious. This is hilarious."
Well,
but I don't know if you take that weird pre-assumption out, what portfolio would? Even if this was a girl, I would still be like, "Why?" It's just weird.
So
it's not like the beauty. It's not like the naked episode or the naked issue of Sports Illustrated where people are naked and it's artfully done, and you're like, "Whoa, this climber's climbing naked and it looks badass." This just looks like a snapshot that some buddies did.
So I disagree with that. So our next critique is Quirky Images. This would fit in perfectly with that.
But I think as a pre-warning, I still would be like, okay, it's quirky and funny, but it still, does it belong in a portfolio? Like, just because something's quirky and funny
So
doesn't mean that...
I think an image like, as long as an image like this is done at a high enough level, and I'll critique a couple things in a second, I think it could be used for anything. I mean, there's lots of nudity in European advertising. It's not as taboo as it is over here. You'll see images like this all the time, and it'll be like, don't catch a cold, NyQuil, or, you know, like whatever it could be. And the second you put some high-end brand name on this, you would say, oh, well, you know, this is a really cool image. Like, think about how much work it took to plan this out and get this. My biggest critique is probably the pose of this guy. Just the fact that, you know, he's instead of reaching with the ice pick, he's kind of just got it there relaxing. It feels more like a joke. Like, oh, I took a picture of me without any clothes on real quick. Whereas with just a little bit more posing going on, you know, flexing of the back or whatever, I think it could look like a really high-end picture. And I feel like the lighting on him looks particularly good. Like, I don't know if this is lit or this is dodged and burned to look like that. Maybe it's a composite and this isn't even real at all, but something about the lighting on the snow and on him.
Maybe he's just floating there and they just put him...
Well, yeah, it's like the lighting on the snow and the lighting on him doesn't quite match, which makes it feel either lit or fake. I don't know. But it doesn't just feel like a joke to me.
I feel like if it was stylized a little bit more, if he had like a scarf around his neck and it was blowing, you know, something
I agree.
If you look at like Old Spice might be able to do an ad like this. I don't think they would show bare naked ass.
Maybe in Europe they would.
But an Old Spice ad, they would still style this more where like maybe they'd have like the dog up on the corner looking at him waiting. Or
I agree.
It would have just like other elements where you're like, oh, that's funny and clever.
Oh, yeah.
This, like, just with the helmet and the color of the helmet and the color palette with the neons and like no styling at all, it just kind of feels like, oh, he just took what he had and jumped up there and took a snap.
I agree. It needs a little bit more production value. Community gives it 2.44. I just saw a new detail about this image that I kind of like.
Probably the detail that I don't like.
All right, you ready to rate it? 3, 2, 1. 3 stars.
Is it the statue?
Yeah, it's like the statue's mimicking his kickflip moves. Kind of interesting. I love the outfit that this guy has and his pose. I mean, this is the most relaxed but still relatively high in the air. I don't know what you call it, an ollie, kickflip, what. But this guy just looks so relaxed. It's awesome. The background's kind of cool, but, you know, we don't have our vertical line straight, which is kind of freaking me out a little bit. I feel like this image needs to be rotated to the left just a little bit.
Easily could be done.
And then the highlights, you know, the blown out part in the sky, I don't know if I hate it or what, but it doesn't, everything about this image does not look as high end as this guy does himself.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a way to put just another sky or another background or something in this to make it feel higher end.
I wonder if
quality.
I would prefer an almost pure white sky.
Yeah.
Something about the way that you have pulled back the detail, and we have these, what color is that? Like a teal color in the sky?
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite work, but I can't put my finger on exactly what my issue is.
See, the happy mistake of the statue is like kind of cool as a background story and it's ironic, but like part of me feels like I would completely remove that and make it just a little cleaner.
I agree. I mean, the fact that you showed so little of the statue, it kind of feels like an eyesore.
Yeah. Because my eye keeps going between the two. And if it was pulled out more, a vertical shot or something where like it's like right up in your face, maybe I would like it more, but just with that hint of the foot, I just feel like just remove it.
Community 2.42. Next up.
Ready?
3, 2, 1. All right, you went 2, I went 3. I am on the fence with this, and I don't know if this is the image I've seen. It must not be. But I've recently seen another surfing shot that's a slight long exposure like this that I thought was super cool, super artistic. This one feels a little bit cheaper, but I don't hate the motion blur, but I think you do.
I just want a little more sharpness, or I keep thinking like if you could have shot so correct me if I'm wrong here, but the more telephoto that you shoot, the more motion blur you're going to get, right? It's like when you shoot stars. If you shoot telephoto in the same shutter speed, the stars are going to be moving faster.
No.
It has to do with distance to the subject?
No. I don't think any of that matters. I think it has to do with size in the frame. If a star is moving, the star is moving the same no matter how close.
You're right.
So
the pixels are just, there's not enough pixels there to capture
show
that,
the detail.
to show that movement.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm just trying to say is I feel like a lot of this dead space, like it just, I don't know if it's the black and white conversion and there's just not enough tones here, and it's the lack of sharpness on the rider, the ultra wide crop, but there's just a lot of little things that to me just make this
What about
feel,
an ultra wide crop? What are you talking about?
it's like beyond 16:9. It's like a panoramic crop. I don't know if I like all of that. Part of me would love to see it just a little sharper and a little tighter, and maybe the grays or something, just something with the tonality could be changed just a little bit. It just feels a little bit like a snapshot, like this guy is just up on a cliff and he's shooting surfers with a longer shutter speed, and this is the most interesting shot he got out of the day.
All right, well, community agrees with you, 2.09. I thought that was a little rough, but maybe I'm wrong. Are you ready? This is a very tricky image.
Yeah, I don't know what to rate this.
But think of the story, Patrick.
The story has too many. All right.
3, 2, 1.
I'm going 2, but there's elements of this that I feel like are done fairly well. I guess I just keep coming back to like, what is happening here? What would this be used for? Is this like pet owners and their dogs that could do tricks, and like you'd have a series of people that are dressed completely different? You have a construction worker and his dog is doing something else, and it feels like it would only work in a series. Like, where would you see this image printed and be like, that's really clever? It's not an ad for the ballerina, and it's not an ad for like adoption. I mean, maybe it could be, but I feel like I'm really struggling to find a use for this, even though photographically it's done fairly well.
So your critique is absolutely different than my critique. You are rating this low simply because you do not like the concept.
That's part of it. Dog also feels, there's something with the like perspective. Is the dog totally in this picture?
So I assume this entire image is fake. If you look at the girl's foot, I don't know if you know this, but I'm not a ballerina. But I don't think she's standing on her toe at all. Like, she doesn't look balanced.
What are you talking
about? I think for her toe, like her weight with her knee being out to the side like that, her leg would have to be at an angle and her toe would have to be curved up underneath. I think this is very fake. I think she was just hopping up, and I don't even know if she's capable of standing on her toe, and I think the photographer just took a picture very quickly of her kind of going up on a toe, but I don't think she's balanced on her toe at all. Then, the lighting on the dog doesn't look realistic at all to me, that this dog is jumping through her leg. And then the depth of field on this dog doesn't look realistic at all to me. The background depth of field doesn't look realistic at all to me. I think this is all a composite, and it doesn't feel realistic to me. So that is my critique, not the concept. The concept of a dog jumping through a ballerina's legs, like if that looked real, I think that would be amazing. I don't know why you'd do it, but just the fact that you could convince a dog to do that, that would be pretty impressive to me. This does not feel real to to me.
There's something going on with the dog. Like when I zoom in, it's like his ear is past her leg, but so much of the dog, I don't know if it's like dodging and burning or something, but it just feels like the dog's tone doesn't fit in with this lighting, or
Yeah, it doesn't at
it
all.
feels like the dog's not really going through the leg.
Right.
I don't know. That part is weird. I don't know about the whole foot and the ballerina not being able to stand on their toe like that. Like I don't know enough about the sport, but I feel like that's how ballerinas work. That's how they dance. They dance like this, to where their toes is in a weird position and they're able to keep.
I think the in real life their toe would be in a weirder position than this. Moving on. Community gives this 2.4 stars.
Your mom would like this one.
My mom does like those bird
Birds.
photos.
I would love to talk to a real bird photographer.
We should do a critique with Abe. Abe is our rep at B&H Photo, and he is a very serious amateur bird photographer. Like when he goes on vacation, he wants to just go places and photograph birds. And some of his work is really good. So he would like know what type of bird this was. He would also know how common it is to get birds interacting like this, and so that would be an interesting critique.
Some of those guys, though, I feel like might love this more because they know the birds. They'd be like, "Ah, it's great.
Yeah,
I love
you might
them,"
be
and
right. You might be
and then
right.
you step back and you're just like, "Yeah, but."
That's why I think it's important to get professional photographers, because they are jaded.
Yeah.
And they've seen the best of the best, and they're not impressed by just like, oh, great job. They're like, no, you're not going to make money with this. So, all right, let's rate this. 3, 2, 1.
3. I agree with you. The bird feeder.
That's my biggest critique. The bird feeder takes this from some natural phenomenon that you captured to like, oh, it's birds hanging out at a bird feeder.
You shot this over Christmas while your parents were nagging about dinner, and you're sitting there with your camera shooting out the window.
Right. It just doesn't feel as impressive. But I love the two birds looking at each other. The one on the right with the wings out looks amazing. So, I don't know. What did I rate this? I just forgot. Did I give it 3? Okay.
You know how
I'm in between 2 and a 3.
You know how photography companies, they make these like camouflage wraps for your telephoto lenses and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Do you think they make like wraps for bird feeders? Like if you wrapped this in birch, and somehow it would like not look like a bird feeder? I guess you'd always have the opening.
Well,
But-
and the bird's like sitting on the stick coming out.
You gotta have you have to have you could sell like unique sticks that fit in perfectly.
So I think what you mean to say is you don't need to sell that. You just need to sell bird feeders that look like
Yeah.
really good trees.
Yeah.
All right, community gives this 2.58. That's probably where I'm at.
I know the photographer I'm thinking of does not submit to our critiques, but this looks a lot like the guy who does like, it's called like Dancers Among Us or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's in New York, and
Yeah.
I think he was a headshot photographer at one point.
Maybe.
Maybe now all he does is dance portraits like this in New York. He's
Are
the
you-
guy who's like famous for it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
3?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I feel like the lighting and the pose of this dancer is incredible, but the location, I can't give it 4 stars. It just feels like, hey, let's run out and take this real quick, whereas I feel like there are amazing locations and cities to shoot these telephoto shallow depth
I guess
of field
I'm just
shots.
thinking from like an advertising standpoint, this looks casual enough to where, if you were a bank and you needed an advertisement on like being financially free, this fits all of that well. Like maybe you
Yeah.
could say like, oh, you could have gotten more trees and gotten rid of the motorcycles and the billboard, replace it with something that's a little, nicer. But the skyscrapers and the buildings in the background, like I think a lot of the background in this image is working really well. I love the tones. I love his expression. Talk about great body position and pose. Like this might be the strongest one in the whole critique.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about the white lines. You could easily retouch those out and like make it say or do whatever you want on the bottom, but I kind of like that it has the splits in the line. It kind of mimics him. I really like this image. I think this is a solid kind of editorial advertising. Quirky, would this be a quirky shot? Is this quirky enough for you?
I don't know. Maybe. Community 2.66.
No. It's higher than that. Okay. This
is what my wife looks like when she's skiing.
She's got that much air?
At approximately 3 miles per hour.
This is when she's just falling over?
Yes. She feels like she's going as fast as this guy, but it's walking speed, and she's... All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars.
I want to give this a 4. I don't know what it takes to... I don't know. Like, I love the expression and the storytelling and, like, if this was your kid or... I mean, could this be an adult?
I thought it was a young person.
I don't know. That picture is great. I love that. It just expresses so much of, like, they're scared or they weren't expecting to get airborne or they're really trying to, like, beat the clock. I love it. I think it's great. I used to do this kind of stuff as a kid. Like, there's a line of kids, and you go there, and then they count down 3, 2, 1, and you go. I don't know that I ever looked this intense doing it, and I was probably a little bit younger. But you're just racing through all the poles and everything. I think it's a cool story. Like, I love the image. I love that they have the flag right there on the left. I don't know if you can tell exactly. Yeah, you can. This is in the Alps, so it has, like, the branding of where it is. This would be a killer shot for, like, the ski team for that slope. Like, they could use this for advertising.
I do not like the composition. I do not like all the dead snow on the bottom, and I want to zoom in so that, we lower
The camera angle.
the kid in the frame just a little bit. And the problem is if I zoom in on my iPad here, it starts cropping off the flag or the poles, whatever it's called on the left. I can still see one of the poles, but I lose the text on the flag. You might know more than me how important that is. But
I don't know that it's that important. I just think it has really good balance the way that it is. Maybe this is one where I just said I didn't like the ultra-wide crop.
Well, you're a
few back.
hypocrite.
Maybe if you just did a more wide aspect ratio and crop the bottom. But I really like this. The thing is, though, this photographer is sitting there waiting for this turn, I assume. But not every person gives this expression. So getting a composition in that split second, that's tough. And the fact that they nailed focus on this, I mean, it's not an easy task.
Community 2.68 and final image. Are you ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1. I'm going 4.
Yeah?
You're going 3?
I just think it's a solid, good image. I don't know that it's...
I really like this. I've seen lots of, hitting the heavy bag shots. I love this low angle, and then the lighting and this roof make this so interesting.
Yeah, the lighting is really cool, the way that has that flare. I almost wish there was one more... Like, you have one up here, and then you have the main one going through. I almost wish there was, like, one more set of lights. Just from an aesthetic point of view. Like, I almost feel like you need something on that bottom left corner. But there's not much you can do about that. But
Community gives it 2.98.
you know when we did the workshop in the Bahamas, did you sit in on Monte Ison's boxing workshop?
Well, I did not, but
You saw the footage.
Like, yeah.
He had, and I don't know if I can find one of the pictures. I could probably find a picture from one of the students because they all took the same picture. But he basically wrapped the punching bag in flour, and then he, like, taped it with duct tape. And then they lit it in this really cool way, and all the boxers are punching. And it's kind of fake in the sense that, like, you would never punch the punching bag and see, like, powder coming out. I don't believe. But it gives you this really graphic, strong... Like, it's at the highest level to where if you were hired to shoot a boxer and get, like, some cool portrait, maybe that's the direction you would go in. This feels not quite as polished. It feels a little more editorial, whereas his feel very advertising,
I mean, this one has, instead of the powder, it's got the sweat.
It's got the sweat. He had the sweat, too. Does it feel weird that the sweat, it's, like, missing from every angle right around his hand? It's like his armpit doesn't have the sweat, his forearm doesn't have the sweat, his bicep doesn't have the sweat, but then there's, like, sweat just outside the radius of his arm. I don't know if that's just totally natural and that's just the way that, like,
I think
the impact, it's like the sweat has already moved.
Yeah, like he punched and then the shot was taken and the sweat was already moving away from the body. I mean, I'm starting to think maybe the sweat is fake, especially like there's sweat that's going across the side of his face, and I'm not really sure where that would have come from, but I don't know.
The average person wouldn't care about that. Sure. I'm just picking it apart just because it's in front of me.
Let's end this critique. This has to be the longest critique in history.
We didn't really even do like a story. We just did stories after every picture.
That's true. Here's a quick story. We got a critique of our own sent to us in email. Did you read this email about the language that we were using in our last critique and how it was inappropriate?
I read that email so quickly and had a quick chuckle, and then I've already thrown it out of my mind.
Someone wrote us, and they were very nice. They were very nice. Usually when we get emails like this, they're not nice. So this person was very respectful, and we need to be respectful of them too. But they said that it was disrespectful of us to refer to female models as girls.
As girls.
And that we should call them the model and not this girl.
They weren't upset that we weren't saying women. They were upset that we were giving a gender to the model?
No, I think...
They were, like, model is a higher level than girl? Like, we were reducing them down to...
Yeah, I think, like, the term girl is somehow disrespectful, maybe because it implies they're young or something. They weren't totally clear.
Or that they weren't a model. Like, they worked hard for the title model. I use model for you. If you're in front of my camera, I'll just be like, model for us, or this model.
But maybe that was this person's critique. They were saying if it was a male model, you would call them like a model, or you'd call them a guy.
I wouldn't say this boy.
Right, and maybe that is the argument. I don't know.
Wow, I didn't think of it that deep, but I wonder if that's true. Do we have a bias to calling women girls, but not men boys? Like if I shot 17-year-old tennis player, would I say? I probably would, though. I'd probably be like, yeah, the boys didn't really give that great of a reaction.
See, I'd probably say guys, but guys is a much more common word. I don't say gals very often. Sometimes I say gals in kind of a joking way. Hey, guys and gals.
Yeah.
But I say hey guys all the time, referring to both genders. This is not offensive to me. Calling someone a girl is not offensive to me, especially if she's like below 20 years old. I feel like that is the standard term. I'm sorry if this is offensive to anyone.
How many emails are we going to get for this?
I don't know.
Let's get out of here before our inboxes fill up more.
Yeah.
We're going to have people upset about the critique and not getting their tutorials, and we're going to have people upset that we are being too specific with our genders.
Yes. If you would like to be part of the next critique, upload your quirky images to the link in the description, or you can always go to fstoppers.com/contest. And if you would like to check out our full-length photography tutorials, you could buy them, or you could figure out what you want to win for free in the next critique. Head over to fstoppers.com/store.
Let's go do something athletic.
Okay.